Just chatting with you. Yes, you. We know you have a story and a talent too.
Hi, welcome to Just Chatting. I'm Jacquelyn Murray, your host for today, and my guest is Pastor Latricia Jester, the pastor of Gideon Missionary Baptist Church. Thank you for joining me.
My pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you. Let's talk about your pastorship. I know that you've been pastoring Gideon Missionary Baptist Church, and you're the first African-American pastor in the Baptist Church?
I am the first African-American female Baptist pastor that's recognized under the National Baptist Convention. So I've been pastoring for approximately 4 years. We'll be celebrating our 4th year anniversary in November of this year. So not the first Baptist pastor, but we recognize me as the first female Baptist pastor.
Is it somewhat uncommon to have a female pastor in the Baptist church?
Somewhat. I think it's coming along now as we recognize it under, again, the National Baptist Convention. Our church was privileged to join the Full Gospel Fellowship in January of this year. And so it's not such a strange thing under the Full Gospel Fellowship, but it was under the National Baptist Convention. So for some, it is uncommon, but for others, not so uncommon.
Okay. I know that you're also a native Tucsonan, and your church is in your neighborhood?
It is. I grew up in what we call Western Hills. Some now just call it the Hills or the Vistas. Went to elementary school and junior high school, 36 in Campbell area. For some, we know it as one of the first African-American neighborhoods. So we were one of the first Black families that that moved to that neighborhood. So a privilege to have ran the streets of that neighborhood, played in the grounds of Gideon, and then God honored me to come back and pastor in the grounds that I played in as a child.
That must be special to be able to go back to the neighborhood where you grew up and be able to serve and worship in the neighborhood. Are any of the same people still in that neighborhood?
Some of the same people. Some of the same people live there that were there when we were children. Many have moved out. The culture of the neighborhood has changed, but some are still there. One of the things that I oftentimes highlight and have told many people about my journey of that neighborhood is what I consider to be extremely special is the house that is right next door to the house where Gideon is where my father took his very last breath. Oh. And so I think that is special. And again, some of the families that were once there are there, but as I mentioned earlier, the culture shift has changed, but some of them are still there.
That's nice. Now, you talked about the Full Gospel Fellowship a little bit earlier, and I know that you were ordained as overseer just in April. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So the language that the Full Gospel Fellowship uses is a little different, and so we say appointed opposed to ordained, okay, which is an amazing elevation that we were honored in the Full Gospel Fellowship. Bishop Alexis Thomas is our state bishop, and recognized that there is a work to be done in this city. There had only been Full Gospel churches in Phoenix, and okay, so as we came on in January, Gideon is the only church in the city that has joined the Full Gospel Fellowship and knew that there was work to be done outside of Phoenix. So when we joined in January, just kind of watched the work that we were doing here in the city, mm-hmm, and looked for someone that was not afraid. I don't think that anybody that knows me would say that I am afraid to do that. We have a theme that we kind of say here in this city in our church and the rest of the members of Gideon, that we're kind of walking in the ridiculous. And so a bishop kind of said needed some ridiculous to kind of join the fellowship, and so appointed me overseer, which simply means any of the other churches that come on, I would oversee those pastors. Okay. And so my challenge is to bring churches outside of Phoenix, so from Maricopa County, the city of Maricopa, all the way to Safford. Any other church that comes on, I would be their pastor and try to get them to come into the fellowship and just follow the state bishop and our regional bishop, which is Bishop White in California, and of course our international bishop, Bishop Morton in Atlanta.
Oh, okay. That seems to be kind of a broad broadening your horizon, I should
Very much
say.
so. And we're excited.
That's great.
We're excited.
I also know that you're involved in the IMA here in Tucson, the International or Interdenominational Ministers Alliance, and you're the CEO?
CEO, from a nonprofit standpoint, what the Interdenominational Minister Alliance is trying to do is we took on the challenge to become nonprofit about 5 years ago under Pastor Lewis, and really trying to shift that and see how we can move the nonprofit side of it, but also using how we can bring in other denominations to just really work together. We believe it's all about the kingdom, not based on your denomination, how we can work together to build the kingdom of God, work together, brothers and sisters. Doesn't matter what your race is, doesn't matter how you really worship, but if we can really begin to be kingdom building. And so the CEO side of this is really trying to figure out how we can bring our strengths together as a church, from one denomination to another, bringing all of our resources together to figure out how we can work together as a community. Our focus right now are the youth of the community, and just really, really trying to figure out what we can do collectively to bring the strengths, again, from one church to another, and still trying to figure it out. Still trying to figure it out.
Do you have certain programs that you do or other areas that you're involved in for the IMA?
A little over a year ago, or actually early part of 2012, we came together and decided that what we would do, we selected 3 initiatives. One of the initiatives were feeding. And so decided that we would work on feeding the youth, feeding families in the community. The other one was we would take on feeding, it was feeding. The other one was the youth of the community, and then homelessness. So it's those 3 are the initiatives that we are working on right now, and just trying to figure out those and how we can move forward. And then from that point, the other things that IMA are doing is just strengthening ministers within our congregation.
How many churches and or pastors, I guess, are involved in the IMA?
It's open to any church in the city. Right now on roll, we have about 40 throughout the city. And it's open to any pastor in the city. So constantly trying to build.
I would imagine that's another area where it's hard to, or maybe not hard, but a little difficult to tread as a female.
You know, I think that it all depends on how you see what you see. And I have never taken my gender as challenging. And so I take it that maybe some do. I think that this is what God created me to be. And I just take it as it is what it is. And if other people see it as challenging, I make it their challenge and not mine.
I like it.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about Gideon. I know Gideon has grown under your pastorship, and what are some of the things that they are doing?
So because I've always been trained that if you don't toot your horn, nobody else will. And so I believe that Gideon is the best church this side of heaven. And I really am excited that God has given us this opportunity. And when I say us, it's my husband and I, this opportunity to lead what I believe is just an amazing church. When we took over Gideon, it was what we have oftentimes said, a very traditional church. And let me stop and say that I don't believe that tradition is a bad thing. Right. But what we do is we are now in a place where we're challenging why we do what we do. And sometimes we just do things because we've always done them. And so we're in the midst of, at our congregation, is just looking at why we do things. And if it makes sense, we're doing it. But if not, we're moving on and trying to do things better and really building the congregation so that it's not just church as usual. One of the things that we're doing that we're very, very proud of is we have prayer 5 days a week. So we open up our church Monday through Friday, 6 to 7, and we are praying. And it is amazing. So we're meeting at the church. We have our ministers that are in charge. One night a week, we have a minister that just have decided it's my night, and they are coming and they are praying. Have members of the church that are saying, I'm there. So whether you decide to be there one night or you decide to be there 5 nights a week, you come and you pray. It's open to the community where they're coming and they're praying alongside. I think what's amazing is one night last week, we had a young man, 22, 23 years old, came in, went straight to the altar, just fell on the altar. just fell on the altar. And at the end of the night, he simply said, "Thank you for being here." And so that's what I think Gideon, I want Gideon to be known as. I don't want us to be a church that's simply there for the saved.
Right.
We're supposed to be building the kingdom. And if it's only for for people that already know God, we're not doing our job.
Right.
So it has to be, we're bringing in people that don't know him. And we really don't do church. It's not church as usual. So I want the drug dealers to be comfortable. I want the prostitutes to be comfortable. I want folks that just don't know when to stand up and when to sit down.
Right.
I don't want it to be a church on cue. So just, we don't know what church clothes are. Now I dressed for you today.
Thank you.
Just because, but we don't want to. We don't have a church dress because I don't think we have the right to say what church clothes are.
Right.
And so that's Gideon, and so we want you to be able to come in and get to know God in whatever works for you. I take pride in not being the usual kind of pastor, and I'm okay with that, and I want our folks to be okay with that as they come in.
That's great. I have seen your post on Facebook about the prayer going on a nightly basis. And I think when I first saw it, I thought it was just going to be for a week or 2 weeks. But I understand that the Lord has just mandated you to keep it going. And I think it's great for a church that's in the community to be for the community.
Yeah.
So many churches now, because of the times, the day and times, are open only on Sunday morning.
Right.
So you can't get to them on Sunday evening or during the week. And that limits who can come.
Exactly.
So I think it's great that Gideon can open its doors for whoever, for the lost, to come and find Christ, which is great.
Exactly. Walmart can't outdo the church.
How about that?
So Walmart is open, and they meet the needs of the people.
Yeah.
And so we're open on Wednesday for a couple of hours and Sunday morning for a couple of hours. And so we just have to do better. Yeah. We have to do better, and we're trying. And so we've come a long way in our 4 years, and we have a long way to go. But we're really moving forward, and we believe we're on the right track.
That's great.
We're on the right track.
I know we have a website for Gideon, but do you have a Facebook page where people can put their prayer requests or
Gideon also? So if you search, Gideon also has a Facebook page. If you just hit Gideon NBC, so there's a Facebook. If you just search Gideon, you can see our Facebook page. I have a Facebook page that's called Uniquely Purpose, that I put blogs out there on a regular basis. And if you've never friended me, Latrice Jester, I send encouraging words out on a regular basis that I try to just hit the community. So if you're not my Facebook friend, friend me, and I'll try to shoot out some things to just kind of encourage you on a regular basis also.
I see those almost daily, the encouragement and also the blogs about prayer requests, which I'm amazed at how fast you answer those.
So, what works for me, now first let me say, it's not just me. And so, again, one of the things that we do at Gideon is it doesn't matter how many people show up, but as I send them out, what our team does is we pray for an hour, but what we try to do is, as people are coming in to pray, we shoot out, look, it's prayer time. And so I'm sitting literally, once I do my prayer time, I'm sitting at the altar. And as you are saying whatever your prayer is, I'm praying and I'm responding. Okay. So as soon as I can, just trying to really, really, really hit them back. And not everybody looks at the time. And so once you respond, if it's after the time, I'm back on Facebook, just really, really trying to respond. So we do it as soon as we possibly can. So doing the best I can.
And you're doing a great
job.
Thank you. I sent a prayer request the other day and it was answered. Praise God for that. Yes,
Amen.
yes.
Amen.
Now you are pastor, you're overseer, you're CEO of IMA, you're mom, husband. What do you do for you?
Wow, my husband's going to get me. Because you just put me on blast. We are still trying to work that out. We really are. And I I'm just going to be honest. I like to go. I'm a mover, shaker kind of person, and I'm learning the art of slow down. I don't have it down pat yet, but I'm learning. I love to move. I love to go, and we're working on me. We're just really working on me. I love ministry. My family is a priority for me, but I'm really working on trying to figure some things out for me. But next question.
Well, I'm not going to let you get off that easy. You're a mover and you like to go. Do you like to travel? Do you?
I do.
Okay.
I do. So my husband has done a very, very good job of setting some time aside this year, because I came off of my job in the end of February of this year to really, really work on Latrice Jester Enterprises. And so because I'm now my own boss, I didn't know how much work it was going to take to be my own boss. And so he is now focusing on really trying to make time for us to just take some time away about every 90 days, 3-day weekends, to really just take some time away. But it's hard to do that when you have the church, to just really schedule that. But I love to travel, but you heard me say I took my time off my job. So travel takes money. And so our budget had to readjust a little bit. And so, but I do. I love to travel.
That's good. I can imagine when you come off of a job where you have a regular schedule and now you're your own boss, it could be easy to work 24/7 and not limit yourself to an 8-hour day or even a 10-hour day. Sometimes it's hard to just turn it off and do you.
Yes.
And so I hope you find that time.
I'm working on it. And I have spotters and bulldogs and a lot of other folks that are around me that are really pulling my chain, that just love me. And they're saying, you need to slow down, you need to do that. And I appreciate them. I really do. I'm joking about it, but I really do appreciate the folks that are in my corner and are really saying every once in a while, you just need to slow down and stop.
Good.
And so I'm working on it.
Good.
I really am.
Tell me some more about Latrice Jester Enterprises.
I worked for an organization by the name of Lutheran Social Services of the Southwest for about 7 years. And in the time of working with them, really learned my passion of working with at-risk youth. And out of that have decided that one of the things I really, really wanted to do was just begin to work with and create an avenue of working with at-risk youth on my own. And so one of the elements of that is working inside of some of the neighborhood schools. And so Utterback Middle School is one of the schools that we have began to go in and work with TUSD, created a mentoring program that I'm really just going to begin to go in the schools and work with them, trying to create parents for a day. We have a lot of single parents that when you find that your kids are in trouble, they can't take off of work. And so I'm creating parents for a day out of some of our churches that can go in and be a parent for a day and work with these kids. So one of the elements out of the enterprise is how do we create parents to wrap their arms around at-risk youth before they get involved with the juvenile justice system. Another thing that I do is train organizations on how to professionalize volunteers. A lot of our churches have volunteers, and we have to learn that just because someone is a volunteer, we have to raise the expectations on how to work with volunteers. Because a person does not get paid does not mean that they can be mediocre. So training how to professionalize volunteers is another element of what I do. I've been working on writing a book. Have some books down in my belly that I just really have to get out. And so that's another thing that I've really been working on for a long time. And the ministry is another arm of what I'm doing. So the enterprise of who I am is just really pulling everything together, and some of the things, just trying to figure out how you can put everything together and market who Latrice Jester is outside of just the church. So it's working.
Good.
It's working.
Is Latrice Jester Enterprise in any way involved with Gideon? If I go to Gideon's website, can I find out something about the mentorship program?
So we expect that the Latrice, no, you cannot. So our website will be launched within the next 2 weeks. So it'll be a link from the Latrice Jester Enterprise to Gideon's. So the link will go back and forth.
Okay.
So you will be able to see both of them.
And does Gideon have any kind of involvement as the congregation in the mentorship program or the?
Some of the mentors come out of Gideon.
Oh, good.
Some of them come out of Gideon and some of the other area churches.
Okay. And you talked about the Parent for a Day, and those come not just from Gideon, from anywhere else?
No, from any place else. IMA is very involved with training. Some of the mentors in the city work on one of the executive boards for juvenile court. And so we are starting to now use some of the evidence-based programs that have mentors out all throughout the country. And so IMA has been very involved in training. So, you have to go through the process of training the mentors, making sure that their fingerprint, background checks, and all of those things. So we have one program that they're coming through IMA, but again, the enterprise has another one, in whichever way that we can use them back and forth to make sure that they work for the kids, we're going to do it.
Oh, great. I want to go back to the feeding program you talked about, and again, asking how people can get involved with that. Do you take donations? Do you take people that help get the food delivered? How does that work?
I got involved with an organization in Phoenix earlier this year. USDA has a program where they discover that oftentimes kids only get their meals at school. So they eat breakfast and lunch during school, and then on summer they miss those meals because we're out for summer. And so I was able to connect with an organization in Phoenix and many sites in Tucson were able to serve the kids. And so Gideon was one of the sites. We partnered with some other organizations here during the summer. And so our summer feeding program ended. But now we're going to partner with them and do evening meals. I partnered with the Boys and Girls Clubs and Tucson City Parks and Rec, so the KidCo programs. Again, Gideon has been the core sponsor. Latrice Jester Enterprises has been the core sponsor, and we use Gideon as a site to kind of host the food. So we don't need right now any place to actually deliver the food because we have drivers. We've been able to hire staff to be able to do that. We're going to start the program back up in September, where we can now serve evening meals, but it's just another arm where we're trying to figure out how to meet the needs of the community, where we can feed possibly some senior citizens, but the primary focus was when these kids get out of school and they're hungry, again, that's a risk factor because they go home, parents are not home, and they're not eating healthy, and we just are trying to feed that need.
That's great. So that is just another, like you said, an arm off of Gideon. That I'm sure is great and is appreciated. And you find the families through the Boys and Girls Clubs and other organizations. They tell you what families are in need. So
the summer we were able to go to the Boys and Girls Clubs and to KidCo. So was able to make contact with the director of both of those centers. This once September starts and they go back to school, we'll be making contact with Utterback and Cabot and those centers, also with Boys and Girls Clubs and 10 of the KidCo centers. We've already made contact with them. And so as the kids come through there, we'll be able to make contact with them and then be able, again, to feed them because they go to those places after they get out of school.
Okay, great. Are there any other community-based organizations you're involved with? Any other faith-based organizations? You seem to be really busy. I can't see how you do anything else.
Outside of what I'm doing, again, with IMA and other than the fact that we are really right now working to build, my primary focus is working to build the work that we're doing with the Full Gospel Fellowship. That's our primary focus because, again, right now Gideon is the only church in Tucson. We have planted one in Sierra Vista and have a couple partners that are thinking about coming on in the greater Tucson area. Cochise County and Douglas have some more that are looking to come on. Couple pastors are talking about it here in Tucson, but that's our primary focus, is really to build a fellowship. We love Bishop Morton and what he is working to do. And so I don't think I can take on another project. We've started some great initiatives and we just want to build on what we're working on now.
Great. So if someone wanted to know some more information about Gideon, could you give us your website address, maybe some service times and other things you have
We
available
sure can.
there?
Gideon's website is www.gideonmbc.org. We have 2 services every Sunday morning. Our early morning worship is really our time of study, and it is at 8:45 every Sunday morning. Traditionally, it's been called Sunday school, but we call it early morning worship. It's a time of really just coming and getting to know about God in a time of study. So we'd love to see you at that time. And then the time in which we really go into depth in worship is at 10 a.m. every Sunday morning. And then we meet for a midweek service every Wednesday at 6:30. And then our prayer is every day, Monday through Friday, from 6 to 7.
That's great. So our viewers can see you on web, or do you videotape your services? Can you be seen online, or is it strictly live?
Look for us soon. We will put that on our website as soon as we are prepared. We're in the process of redoing our audio services, our audio at the church. And so look for us, and we will post that both on our website as soon as we are prepared to go live and stream it. We hope that we will have that up in the next 30 days. We're not prepared to do it yet, but we look for us, and we hope to have it up real soon.
Great. You said Gideon is a non-traditional kind of church. How would you explain the type of worship you guys do?
I think we just flow. We love God, and so I think that when you put anything in a box, it just really does that. It puts you in a box. We love God, and we just try to do what God allows us to do. When you say tradition, it does. It puts you in a box. So when I came there, man, I burnt the box and destroyed the box. And again, that's not against what anybody else does. What God said for me to do when I got there was to open the church so that anybody that came, they were comfortable. If you do it one way, then it works for you. But for us, we are for the broken, for the unchurched kind of person that really did not know what church was. And that's what he called me to do, so that you could come in and get to know God for yourself. And so that's my call. And so that's what we do.
That's great.
That's what we do.
I know your husband is a vital part of the ministry. How does he participate?
He is. He's amazing. He was one of the first deacons that I was able to ordain when he came there. And so Brian is really my backbone. And so without Brian, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. He is my number one fan. And so he is actually right now serving as one of the primary leaders there in the church. And so it's just there in absolutely every way that I need him. And so I'd say he's really the head boss. And so I get up and preach every Sunday, but he's the one that's really, really pulling my chain and really keeping things in order, because it's him that I can go to and say, hey, you know, when the door is shut, it's Brian that really, really kind of keeps the balance.
That's good. That's good to know that you have him standing behind you and you are one. Although, like you said, you're the pastor,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be able to do, I'm sure, much of what you do without his support and
Yeah.
prayers, I know, behind you. What are the demographics of your church, would you say?
You know, we are a mixture. You know, so many of the churches primarily, you know, African American, but we kingdom.
Chatting with you.
Did I get it in?
Yes, we
I got
know
kingdom
you
in.
have a story and a talent too.